friends. So today I am so excited, and I'm just going to warn you right now by telling you I'm probably going to say the words I am so excited like 1,001 times during the course of this video, and like I don't even care because I am so freaking excited. So as you can tell by the title of this video, I am announcing a readathon, and it is all about historical fiction. So I have been working really hard with two of my friends, Bree and Kirsty, to create a historical fictionathon. We all love historical fiction, and apparently, there has not been a historical fiction readathon before, and so it just seemed like the perfect thing for us to do. So I am going to leave all of their details down below on how you can follow along, not just with me and what I'm reading, but along with my friends. So Bree does have a YouTube channel. Like, if you're not following her, you definitely should be. She's amazing. She does the best reading vlogs, and she loves historical fiction. And Kirsty does not have a channel, but she has a gorgeous Instagram. So I'm going to leave all of her details down below as well. So make sure to check them out, because we are all going to be, sharing our progress and the books we're reading and everything during the historical fictionathon. And also, I'm going to be going through right now some of my recommendations, but I definitely recommend checking them out because they're going to have a lot of recommendations for the books that they feel like could fit the different prompts. So now let's get right into the prompts, because I have a lot of books here. Like, this is why it's so perfect for us to do the historical fictionathon, because we all love historical fiction, and I went a little crazy coming up with books that could fit these prompts. So before we get into the books though, I should probably go into the details of the historical fictionathon. So the dates, it's going to run from February 8th through February 23rd. So starting midnight February 8th and running all the way through 11:59 on the 23rd. So that gives you 2 full weeks to read as many of the books as you can to fit the prompts. There are 6 prompts, but you can stack them up. And so you'll see as I start going through, like, I was actually having a hard time figuring out which kind of stack to put them in, because a lot of books could actually double up and be in multiple categories. And that's the good thing, is that we want you to be like, this is not a strict readathon, and nobody's going to be policing you, telling you what fits or doesn't. It's up to you to decide whether or not you feel like this would fit the prompt. And I love to stretch things out and make it fit. If it's a book I really want to read, I'll figure out a way to make it fit a prompt. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and go into the book. So the first prompt is Time Traveler's Wife, and that is simply to just pick a book from your favorite time period. And I don't have recommendations for you, because that's up to you to decide what your favorite time period is. Like I said, like, you could decide the last decade is your favorite time period. Or maybe the 1800s, medieval times, the 20s, the 40s, the 60s, whatever works for you, like, that is your favorite time period. I can't tell you what that is. For me, I have a couple of different time periods that I really like to read about. So late 1800s is definitely a favorite for me, and then anything like basically like the 1920s through the 1940s are all like those time periods or books that I read during those time periods that I definitely love and would say are like my favorite time periods. The 60s too. Like, I really like the 60s and 70s. I can't decide. I just love history. So anyway, so Time Traveler's Wife, just figure out what time period that is your favorite and pick a book. Now the second one is Friendship. Find a book with 2 or more people on the cover. So a couple of ideas that I have for that would be All the President's Men, and I have The Boleyn Inheritance. So the third prompt is one of my favorites. It is Saint Valentine, and that is to read a historical romance. Now it doesn't have to be like a historical romance. I mean, it definitely can be. Those are some of my favorite books. So I like the Bodice Ripper, like very romance centric books that take place, where a duke falls in love with a maiden or whatever. So a couple of good examples like that would be Once and Always by Judith McNaught. As you guys know, she's my favorite, and I tried to find a book that wasn't Whitney My Love to talk about, but there's also Whitney My Love. So we've got Once and Always, And then this is one that I've had for a long time but I've never read, One Perfect Rose. Now this one, technically I don't know if you would call it historical fiction, but it is love story. This, I have never read the book, but I've had this on my shelf for years. It is not necessarily historical fiction, but it was written in a historical time period. So, yeah. So, and this is like oh my God, this is just such a beautiful, tragic, beautiful love story. So I chose it because, again, we can make it stretch. And then I think this one, I have The Bridges of Madison County, and I think this one is a historical fiction because I'm pretty sure it takes place in like the 40s, I think, or 50s. So The Bridges of Madison County is another good one. There's also a couple other books that would be great. I don't have on my like stack because I have them in like ebook format. Would be The Notebook, of course. That's like one of the most amazing romance or love stories of like time, and one of my new favorites, Montauk. Both of those have great love stories in them, and they both take place, I think, in like the 30s or 40s. The next prompt is another one I had a lot of fun with, and that is film noir. Read a book with a movie adaptation, and as a bonus, watch the movie. So a few ideas that I have for that of some of my favorites would be The Phantom of the Opera. I love the movie The Phantom of the Opera. Girl with a Pearl Earring. The Other Boleyn Girl. Now, this is another one that technically could be a little bit of a stretch, and that is Mommy Dearest, because I don't think that this is necessarily historical fiction because it's more of a memoir. It's a really sad movie, but it is really well acted. So it's hard to say, like, 'cause this is about a horrible person who abuses her child, so it's hard to say it's a great movie. However, it is a very well acted depiction of what happened in this, you know, with this story. And then I have this ginormous book of William Shakespeare plays, because basically you could open this up, point to any freaking play, and there's going to be a movie adaptation. But the ones that came to mind, of course, was you would read Romeo and Juliet and then watch the Leonardo DiCaprio adaptation, or what I was really thinking of was Othello, and there was that movie that was done in the 90s that I absolutely loved as well. That was a really good kind of retelling adaptation of Othello, which is one of my favorite plays. So the next one, All is Fair in Love and War. Read a wartime novel. Now, this is one that I didn't have a ton of ideas for. This I would definitely recommend going and checking out Bree's channel, because she has a lot of really good recommendations for wartime novels. So a few that I can think of, I have one here, and that is Sophie's Choice. And other options would be In Another Time, and then there's one I think called Ragged Edge of Night, might be another good one. So those are a few ideas. Again, hop on over to hers, because like World War II historical fiction, I think, is basically like her favorite time period. So she will probably have a bunch of options for you for a wartime novel. Now, this is the one where I went a little crazy, because the last prompt, Back to the Future, to read a classic or a retelling of a favorite. Now, if you have spent any time on my channel, you know I love classics because I am a nerd and they are like my favorite books. My bookshelf up here has been gutted because they're all on the floor because I own so many different classics. So I broke this up into two sections. So the first one is just to go over a few classics that you could read, and I wanted to come up with ones that were not Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice, because I have again talked about those a lot on my channel. So just to get into a few other ideas, if you are looking for a classic, we have This Side of Paradise of Scott Fitzgerald, Charlotte Bronte, because I have to mention her, and I love this book. This is definitely my second favorite Charlotte Bronte book, and that is, I don't know how to pronounce this though, is it Villette? Villette, I think. And this one's another really good one. And then we have Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and Wuthering Heights, another amazing classic that I love. Now, here's where we're going to get into the retellings. This is a lot of fun, so I have quite a few different retelling options. So the first one here is The Great Gatsby. Of course, you could just read these classics too, but if you're looking for the retellings, we've got The Great Gatsby. And there's actually a book called that titled Great, which is a modern retelling of The Great Gatsby. And then of course, I had to talk about Jane Eyre. I couldn't not. And there are so many retellings of this story. I had no idea. So the first one that I thought of was My Plain Jane. That is a very popular retelling. A few others though, there's actually a graphic novel called Jane, which is basically just Jane Eyre in modern times, and it's a graphic novel. And there's another one that seems really interesting that I think I will either go crazy and love or completely hate, and it's called Jane Slayer. And it's basically, I think Jane Eyre is a vampire slayer or something. And then we've got Pride and Prejudice, another one of my favorites of all time. And so the ones that came to mind for me would be Pride and Prejudice Zombies, and another one, I think it was called Engaged. And that is another kind of, I think that's a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And other ones, I don't have these ones, so I'm just going to talk about them, would be Beauty and the Beast. And for retellings of Beauty and the Beast, there's A Curse So Dark and Lonely and Fairy Tale. So those are great options if you're looking for a retelling or a classic. Alright you guys, so that is all the book recommendations that I have for you. As you can see, I went a little crazy. Yes, so I am just so excited. I wish it was February 8th already. Now, participation is so easy. All you have to do is read a bunch of books and then tell us about it. Just use the hashtag historical fictionathon. It will be the same across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and I know you can drop hashtags into YouTube videos now as well. So definitely make sure to use that. And then of course you can always tag me, Bree, or Kirsty, because we would love to see how it's going for you and what you are reading. So I hope that you are as excited as we are. I'm so excited. I just want it to be February 8th. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already. And again, check my friends out down below. All their information is going to be there, and subscribe to their channels and their Instagrams and all of the places that you can hang out with us, because we're going to have a lot of fun and read a bunch of historical books. And with that, go write some words and read lots of historical books. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!